Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. The last laugh delivers stories that leave you speechless. If you're here for it, hit subscribe and let's go. I knew something was wrong the moment I opened my apartment door. The shoes by the entrance weren't mine. 4 pairs of expensive heels lined up neatly where I usually kicked off my sneakers. The air smelled different, floral perfume instead of my usual vanilla candle. And there was music playing from my bedroom. Music I would never listen to. Hello? I called out, setting down my grocery bags. My sister Ashley appeared from the hallway wearing my bathrobe. My favorite bathrobe that I'd specifically packed away in my closet. Jess? Oh my god, you're home early. She didn't look embarrassed. She looked annoyed. I thought you had that work conference until Sunday. It ended a day early, I said slowly, staring at her. Ashley, why are you in my apartment? Oh, didn't Mom tell you? She breezed past me to the kitchen, my kitchen, and poured herself a glass of wine from a bottle I'd been saving. I'm living here now. Just temporarily, until I figure out my next move. You know how it is. I didn't know how it was. I stood there, frozen, while my brain tried to process what was happening. You're living here? I repeated. Yeah. It's perfect timing, actually. I broke up with Trevor, total disaster, he was so controlling, and I couldn't stay in that tiny studio anymore. Mom mentioned you had this huge 2-bedroom all to yourself, and I was like, obviously Jess won't mind sharing. We're sisters. She said it like it was the most natural thing in the world. Like I'd been consulted. Like I'd agreed. Ashley, I said carefully, I didn't say you could move in. She laughed, that tinkling laugh she used when she thought someone was being ridiculous. Come on, Jess. You have 2 bedrooms. 2 bathrooms. This whole huge space. What are you even using the second bedroom for? Your home office? She made air quotes around the words. You sit at a computer all day anyway. You can do that from the living room. This is my apartment, I said, my voice getting quieter the way it always did when I was upset. My lease. My space. And I'm your sister, Ashley countered, pouring more wine. Family helps family. That's what Mom said. She's the one who gave me your spare key, by the way. She said you'd be fine with it. Of course she did. My mother had made this decision without asking me. Had given Ashley my spare key, the one I'd given her for emergencies, and moved my sister into my home like it was her right. I pulled out my phone and called Mom. She answered on the 3rd ring, her voice cheerful. Jessica. How was your conference? Why is Ashley living in my apartment? A pause. Then, oh, honey, don't be dramatic. It's just temporary. Ashley's going through a hard time, and you have all that extra space. It's the least you can do. You didn't ask me. I didn't think I needed to. You're her sister. Family supports each other. Besides, what are you using that second bedroom for? You live alone. You barely have friends over. Ashley needs this right now. The familiar ache settled in my chest. That old feeling of being dismissed, of my needs and wants matching less than whatever Ashley required in any given moment. How long is temporary? I asked. As long as she needs, Jessica. Don't be selfish about this. Your sister just went through a breakup. She's vulnerable. You have a good job, a nice apartment. You can share for a while. She hung up before I could respond. I stood in my kitchen, my apartment, my home, and looked at Ashley, who was now examining my refrigerator contents with a critical expression. You need to go grocery shopping, she said. There's nothing good here. Oh, and can you pick up some oat milk? The regular stuff makes me bloated. That was 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks of coming home to Ashley's things everywhere. Her makeup covering my bathroom counter. Her clothes draped over my furniture. Her friends coming over at 11 p.m. on weeknights for just a glass of wine that turned into loud laughter until 2 a.m. 3 weeks of her eating my food without replacing it. Using my Netflix, my Spotify, my Amazon Prime. Asking me to keep it down when I had work calls because she was trying to relax. 3 weeks of my parents calling to tell me how grateful I should be that Ashley was doing so well since moving in. How good it was for her to have family support. How proud they were that I was finally being a good sister. I'd stopped arguing after the first week. Stopped pointing out that I hadn't agreed to any of this. Stopped mentioning that Ashley hadn't offered to pay rent, utilities, or contribute to groceries. It was easier to be quiet. To smile. To accept it. That's what I'd always done. What my family didn't know, what they never bothered to ask, was that I didn't actually rent this apartment. I owned it. I'd bought it 2 years ago when the building went condo. Paid $380,000, cash down payment of $120,000 from my bonus at work. My job that they called computer stuff was actually senior software engineer at a tech startup that had gone public last year. My stock options alone were worth $1.2 million. But they'd never asked about my job. Never asked how I could afford a 2-bedroom apartment in downtown Seattle. They just assumed I was renting, probably splitting it with roommates or barely scraping by. The lease they thought existed? That was paperwork from when I'd been renting, before I bought. I kept it in a folder because it had my move-in date and security deposit information. Ashley had found it and assumed I was still renting. She'd mentioned to my parents that she'd seen the lease, and they'd never questioned it. I'd thought about correcting them. Every single day, I thought about it. But part of me wanted to see how long it would take for them to ask. To wonder. To see me as something other than Jessica, the quiet one who does computer stuff. On December 15th, Ashley announced she was hosting Christmas dinner at our place. Our place, she said, as if we were roommates who'd chosen this arrangement. As if I had any say in it. Christmas is at Mom and Dad's house, I said. Not this year. Mom said it's too much stress for them. The kitchen renovation is still a mess. So I offered to host here. Isn't that exciting? Our first family Christmas in the apartment. Ashley, I don't think. It's already decided, Jess. Mom's so excited. She's bringing the turkey. Aunt Linda's making her famous stuffing. It's going to be perfect. She'd invited 15 people to my apartment. 15 people for a dinner I didn't agree to host, in a home she didn't own, using furniture and space that wasn't hers. I called my mother again. Ashley can't host Christmas here. Why not? You have a beautiful apartment. Plenty of space. Ashley's so excited to do this for the family. Don't ruin it for her, Jessica. This is my home, Mom. And she's your sister. She's living there. Why shouldn't she be able to host a family dinner? Honestly, Jessica, I don't understand why you're being so difficult about this. Ashley's really stepped up, taking initiative, making this happen. You should be grateful she's handling everything. Grateful. I should be grateful that my sister had moved into my apartment without permission and was now hosting a holiday dinner in my home without asking. I opened my mouth to tell my mother the truth. That this wasn't a rental. That Ashley had no right to host anything. That I owned this apartment and could evict her tomorrow if I wanted. But the words stuck in my throat. Instead, I heard myself say, fine. Christmas here. Thank you, Jessica. You're being a good sister. I hung up and stared at my phone for a long time. Then I made a different call. Mr. Chen? This is Jessica Park. I need to discuss my property. Christmas Eve, Ashley transformed my apartment into what she called Winter Wonderland elegance. She'd bought decorations with my credit card, left on the counter, she'd helped herself, and rearranged all my furniture. It looks so much better this way, she said, stepping back to admire her work. You really don't have an eye for design, Jess. It's a good thing I'm here. My parents arrived early on Christmas Day, my mother immediately praising Ashley for the gorgeous setup. Ashley, sweetheart, this is stunning. You've made this place look like a magazine. Thanks, Mom. I worked really hard on it. My father hugged Ashley, then gave me a distracted pat on the shoulder. Hey, Jess. Nice place you girls have here. Thanks, Dad. Your sister really knows how to put a room together. You should let her handle the decorating from now on. Sure, I said quietly. Aunt Linda arrived with Uncle Paul. Then Cousin Marie with her husband and 2 kids. Then Grandma Helen. Then my mother's best friend Susan and her husband Tom. 15 people crammed into my living room, drinking my wine, eating appetizers Ashley had made, actually ordered from a catering company using my credit card, and praising her for being such a wonderful hostess. Ashley, this is incredible, Aunt Linda gushed. You've really matured. Taking care of your sister, hosting family events. Your parents must be so proud. Taking care of me? I said softly. Nobody heard me. Ashley held court in the center of the room, telling stories about her breakup with Trevor, her plans to maybe start a lifestyle blog, her vision for redecorating their apartment in the spring. Jessica's been so generous letting me stay, Ashley said, her hand on my shoulder in a gesture that looked affectionate but felt possessive. She has this great job doing computer things, and she makes enough to cover everything. She's really supportive. That's what family does, Mom said, beaming at me. I'm so glad you two are finally bonding. I smiled and excused myself to the kitchen. The turkey was in the oven, Ashley had used my Le Creuset roasting pan without asking, and side dishes covered every counter. My kitchen, my dishes, my home, all commandeered for a dinner I'd never agreed to host. At exactly 6:47 p.m., there was a knock on the door. Ashley was in the middle of a story about her nightmare landlord at her old studio. And he had the nerve to say I was late on rent. I was like, excuse me, I'm dealing with a breakup. The knock came again. Louder. Jess, can you get that? Ashley called without looking away from her audience. It's probably the dessert delivery. I opened the door. Mr. Chen stood there in a suit, holding a clipboard. My landlord. Except he wasn't my landlord anymore, he was my property manager, the one who handled HOA issues and building maintenance for the condos. Mr. Chen, I said calmly. Come in. He stepped inside, and the room gradually went quiet. 15 faces turned toward us, confused by the interruption. Can I help you? Ashley said, her hostess smile firmly in place. If you're delivering something, you can just leave it by the door. I'm not delivering anything, Mr. Chen said, his voice professional but firm. I'm David Chen, property manager for this building. I need to speak with the leaseholder immediately. Oh. Ashley laughed. That's my sister, Jessica. Jess, your landlord's here. Is something wrong with the apartment? Actually, Mr. Chen said, pulling papers from his clipboard, I'm here regarding unauthorized occupancy and lease violations. The room went completely silent. I'm sorry. Mom stood up, her face showing the first signs of concern. What do you mean unauthorized? Mr. Chen looked at me. I nodded slightly. He turned to face the room, his voice clear and carrying. I've received a complaint about unauthorized tenants in Unit 412. According to my records, only Jessica Park is authorized to occupy this residence. Any other occupants are in violation of building regulations and must vacate within 48 hours. Ashley's face went pale. That's ridiculous. I live here. My sister's lease. There is no lease, Mr. Chen interrupted. Ms. Park owns this unit. The color drained from my mother's face. She actually started shaking, her wine glass trembling in her hand. Jessica owns this apartment? Dad's voice was barely a whisper. Yes, sir, Mr. Chen continued. And as the owner, Ms. Park has requested that I serve formal notice to any unauthorized occupants. Ms. Ashley Park has been residing here without the owner's written permission for approximately 3 weeks. She has 48 hours to remove all belongings and vacate the premises. He handed Ashley an official-looking document. She took it with shaking hands, her face white as paper. This can't be right, Ashley whispered. Jess, tell him. Tell him I live here. Tell him you said it was okay. Everyone turned to look at me. I stood there, completely calm, and said, I never gave you permission to move in, Ashley. Mom gave you my emergency key and told you to move in without asking me. But you didn't say no. Ashley's voice rose, panicked. You let me stay. You didn't kick me out. I also didn't say yes, I replied quietly. You assumed. You both assumed. I looked at my mother. You gave her my key, moved her into my home, and told her I'd be fine with it. Neither of you asked me. Jessica, Mom's voice was shaking. You own this place? Since when? Since November 2022. 26 months ago. But you never told us. You never asked, I said simply. You assumed I was renting. You assumed I was barely getting by. You assumed I needed roommates to afford this place. You never once asked about my job, my salary, or how I could afford a 2-bedroom apartment downtown. Aunt Linda cleared her throat. Jessica, honey, what exactly do you do for work? I'm a senior software engineer at TechCore Solutions. We went public last year. My base salary is $185,000, plus stock options currently worth about $1.2 million. The room went absolutely silent. You could hear the turkey timer ticking in the kitchen. That's not possible, Ashley whispered. You do data entry. You work on computers. I design security architecture for enterprise software systems, I corrected. I've been with the company for 6 years. I was one of their first 20 employees. When we went public, my stock options vested. Dad sat down heavily on the couch. $1 million? In options, yes. Plus my 401k, savings, and this apartment. My total net worth is approximately $1.8 million. My mother made a sound like she couldn't breathe. But you never. She started. You never said, we thought. You thought I was struggling, I finished for her. You thought I was just getting by. You never asked because you never cared. Ashley needed help, and I had space, so you gave her my key and moved her in. You didn't ask about my life, my career, my plans. You just assumed I existed to support Ashley when she needed it. That's not fair, Mom said, but her voice cracked. We're family. Family helps each other. Does family move into each other's homes without permission? I asked. Does family use credit cards without asking? Does family host parties in someone else's house without their consent? Ashley was crying now, mascara running down her face. I didn't know. I thought. Mom said you'd be okay with it. Did you ask? I looked at her directly. At any point in the last 3 weeks, did you ask if this was okay? Did you offer to pay rent? Did you contribute to utilities or groceries? Did you treat this like my home, or did you treat it like your apartment that I just happened to live in? She couldn't answer. Mr. Chen cleared his throat. Ms. Park, I need to clarify the eviction timeline. 48 hours means Ms. Ashley Park must have all belongings removed by December 27th at 6:47 p.m. If she's not out by then, I'm authorized to change the locks and have the police remove her for trespassing. This is insane. Ashley screamed. Mom, Dad, tell her. She can't kick me out right after Christmas. Where am I supposed to go? Mom turned to me, her hands still shaking. Jessica, please. Don't do this. She's your sister. It's Christmas. And she's been living in my apartment without permission for 3 weeks, I said. Using my things, eating my food, drinking my wine, charging thousands of dollars to my credit card. She took over my home and made me feel like a guest in my own space. I'll pay you back. Ashley sobbed. Everything. The credit card, the wine, the food, all of it. With what money? I asked quietly. You don't have a job. You haven't had a job in 4 months. You broke up with Trevor because he asked you to contribute to rent. You moved in here because Mom told you I had space and I'd be fine with it. Grandma Helen spoke up, her voice quiet. Jessica's right. Everyone turned to look at her. I've watched this family treat Jessica like she's invisible for 30 years, Grandma continued. Ashley's the pretty one, the special one, the one who needs everything handed to her. Jessica? Jessica's supposed to be grateful for whatever scraps of attention she gets. I'm not surprised she didn't tell us about her success. Why would she? So you could ask her for money? So Ashley could move into her $1 million apartment and pretend it's hers? Mother, that's not, my mom started. It is, Catherine. You gave Ashley Jessica's key. Moved her into Jessica's home. Never asked Jessica's permission. And now you're angry that Jessica actually owns the place? You're not upset about the lie. You're upset because it means Jessica has power you didn't know about. The room fell silent again. Ashley slumped in her chair, still crying. Mom stood frozen, her wine glass forgotten in her hand. Dad stared at the floor like he couldn't believe what was happening. Cousin Marie's husband whispered, "Should we go?" "No," I said. "Dinner's almost ready. Stay. Eat. It's Christmas." "How can we eat after this?" Aunt Linda asked. "The same way you've eaten every other holiday while ignoring me," I said calmly. "Pretend I'm not here. You're all good at it." Mr. Chen handed me a document. "This is the official notice. Keep it for your records. I'll return on the 27th at 6:47 p.m. to verify the unit is vacated. If there are any issues, call me directly." "Thank you, Mr. Chen." He nodded and left. The door closed, and we all stood there. 15 people in my living room, my turkey in the oven, my wine in their glasses, my home that they'd all assumed belonged to someone else. "So," I said into the silence. "Who's ready for dinner?" Nobody moved. "Jessica," Dad finally spoke. "We need to talk about this. Ashley's your sister. We can work something out. Maybe she pays rent, or—" "No," I said simply. "She has 48 hours to leave. After that, the locks change." "Where am I supposed to go?" Ashley's voice was small, broken. "Mom and Dad's house," I suggested. "Your old studio. A friend's couch." "I don't know, Ashley. Where were you planning to live before Mom decided I should house you?" "This is so cruel," Mom whispered. "Your own sister. At Christmas." "What's cruel?" I said, my voice finally rising above a whisper, "is moving someone into my home without asking. Using my space, my things, my credit card. Hosting a dinner I never agreed to in a home you thought I merely rented. You didn't think I deserved to be consulted because you didn't think I had any right to say no. We thought you were renting," Dad said. "If we'd known. If you'd known I owned it, you would have what? Asked permission? Or would you have asked me to let Ashley stay rent-free because you can afford it?" He didn't answer. "That's what I thought," I said. The turkey timer went off. The sound was jarring in the silent room. "I'm leaving," Aunt Linda said, grabbing her coat. "This is too uncomfortable." "Us too," Cousin Marie said, gathering her kids. One by one, my family left. Mumbled excuses about early mornings and long drives. Nobody looked at me. Nobody said goodbye. Within 15 minutes, only Ashley and my parents remained. Mom sat on my couch, in my apartment, and cried quietly. Dad stood by the window, staring out at the Seattle skyline. Ashley curled up in the armchair, makeup ruined, still clutching the eviction notice. "I need to take the turkey out," I said. I went to the kitchen and pulled out the perfect golden turkey. Ashley's turkey that she'd taken credit for, cooked in my oven, in my Le Creuset roasting pan, in my apartment. I turned off the oven and walked back to the living room. "You should all leave now," I said quietly. "Jessica, please," Mom started. 48 hours, Ashley. Everything out. Don't take anything that isn't yours. I have security cameras." "You have cameras?" Ashley looked up, horrified. "Installed them the day after you moved in," I said. "I have footage of everything. Every credit card charge, every item used without asking, every friend you brought over without permission. Everything." She went even paler. "So when you pack," I continued calmly, "make sure you only take your own belongings. Because I'll know if you don't." My parents stood slowly, gathering their coats. Ashley didn't move. Ashley, Dad said quietly. Come on. Let's go. Where? Ashley's voice broke. Where are we going? Home, Dad said. Our home. We'll figure this out. They left slowly, like they were walking through water. Ashley took one last look around the apartment, my apartment, like she was memorizing it. The door closed behind them. I stood in my living room, surrounded by Christmas decorations I hadn't chosen, furniture arranged in ways I didn't like, and the smell of a turkey dinner nobody would eat. I pulled out my phone and ordered pizza. 2 days later, on December 27th at 6:45 p.m., Mr. Chen knocked on my door. Is it clear? I asked. Completely. She left this morning. I watched her pack the last boxes myself. He handed me new keys. Locks are changed. She left some decorations, she said you could keep them or throw them out. I thanked him and closed the door. My apartment was mine again. Empty of Ashley's things. Empty of her presence. Just mine. I should have felt relieved. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt tired. My phone had been silent for 2 days. No calls from my parents. No texts from Ashley. Nothing from extended family. On New Year's Eve, I got a single text from my mother, Ashley's staying with us. She got a job at a call center. We're managing. I hope you're happy. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed back, I hope she actually keeps the job. I didn't add that I'd checked, the call center job paid $42,000 a year. Ashley would have to budget. Save. Live within her means for the first time in her life. Maybe she'd learn something. Or maybe she'd find someone else to leech off. Either way, it wouldn't be me. It's March now. 3 months since that Christmas dinner. I haven't seen my family since. Ashley sends occasional texts. Brief ones. Got promoted to team lead. Found my own apartment. Starting therapy. I respond with simple congratulations. Nothing more. Mom calls once a month. Awkward conversations where she asks how I'm doing and I give vague answers. She never apologizes. Never admits what she did was wrong. Just asks if I'm ready to move past this. I'm not. Dad sent a card for my birthday last week. Inside, he'd written, "We miss you. Family shouldn't be this broken. Love, Dad." I put it on my refrigerator but I haven't called him back. Grandma Helen visits though. She came by last week with homemade cookies and sat in my living room, rearranged back to how I like it, and told me she was proud of me. For what? I asked. For finally standing up for yourself, she said. For not letting them walk all over you anymore. Your mother's angry. Ashley's resentful. But they're learning. Slowly. That you're not their safety net. Think they'll actually change? I don't know, Grandma said honestly. But even if they don't, you've changed. You've set boundaries. That's what matters. She's right. I don't know if my family will ever really see me as anything other than Jessica, the quiet one who does computer stuff. I don't know if they'll ever understand that you can't just take someone's home, their space, their life, and expect them to smile about it. But I know that I'm done being invisible in my own life. I'm done being the backup plan, the safety net, the one who quietly accepts whatever they decide. This is my apartment. My home. My life. And nobody moves in without my permission ever again. Have you ever had family treat your home like it was theirs? How did you handle it? Share your story below.